My name is Marisa Cole, and I'm 32. The text arrived while I was whisking eggs and checking the shipping report for Monday's meeting. I need a month to decide if you're worth it. I watch the dots appear, vanish, return, like weather cells skittering across a radar, and somewhere in the middle of those gray bubbles, the part of me that waits for storms to pass simply turned out the lights. I typed with both thumbs, precise as a contract line, take all the time you need. I set the phone face down. The pan hissed. Outside, the street sounded ordinary, a bus brake sigh, a dog tag chiming as someone crossed the cracked sidewalk. Inside, I rinsed a wine glass we weren't using and dried it until the rim sang. One thin note that laid itself down like blue chalk dust after a snap. Evan, 29, charming when effort costs nothing, liked to announce difficult things like he was narrating a forecast he wouldn't have to stand in. For 4 years, I had handled the rain. Leases, insurance, the practical spine of our life. Not because I'm a martyr, because efficiency is cheaper than drama. When someone tells you they need 30 days to calculate your value, the math changes. I poured the eggs, called my property manager, and asked a clean, clinical question. Hey, Jim, if a person isn't on the deed but has been receiving mail here for 2 years, what are they legally? Month-to-month tenant, he said. 30 days written notice. Perfect, I said softly. He wanted a month anyway. I finished breakfast, packed my laptop, and made 3 more calls. Human resources first. Open enrollment was next week. Yes, I need to remove a dependent from my health plan at the start of the window. My voice did not waver, because this was not punishment, it was alignment. Partners share. Evaluators do not. Insurance followed. Phone plan after that. The line he insisted didn't need an upgrade had used 45 gigabytes already this cycle. Throttling would land like gravity. Then the quiet click of one more action. I removed him as an authorized user on the credit card he called ours when the dinner was expensive and yours when the bill arrived. At lunch, I made a list the way you map a fire break. Apartment, mine. Utilities, in my name. Car insurance, my policy. Gym, corporate account. Streaming services, mine. Credit card, my account. Phone plan. Family plan, also mine. 2 years ago, when his ancient sedan died, choking smoke by the curb, I'd helped him finance a newer car. The loan carried my signature to get him a decent rate. He'd promised to make the monthly payments. I'll handle the car separately, I told my notebook. Attorney consult for that. I did not text him. He had asked for silence disguised as space. By evening, his side of the closet looked the same. Cuffed jeans, 3 button-downs he never ironed, a varsity jacket long past nostalgia. On the counter, a note in his brisk slant. Crashing with Brandon. Please respect my need to think. I ordered Thai, watched the 4th quarter, slept inside the kind of quiet that has edges. The next morning detonated at 6:47 a.m. 17 missed calls, 40-something texts in a rising spiral, confusion, irritation, bargaining, blame. Why isn't my card working? Mar, this isn't funny. I can't get gas. Answer your phone, please. I need to get to work. What did you do? At 7:12 a.m., an unknown number. I answered. Male voice, pushing. Is this Marissa? This is Damon, Evan's brother. What did you do to him? He's stranded. I let the mirror of his outrage hang in the air while I set my mug down. He asked for a month to evaluate my worth. I'm honoring that by pausing partner benefits. That's financial abuse, he snapped. I almost laughed. I removed him as an authorized user from my card. His cards should work fine. His job exists. He's 30. Adults live with their own money. You know he doesn't make enough to... To what? I asked. To live at the lifestyle I underwrote? I'm aware. He cursed. I ended the call. By noon, the formation had gathered, flying monkeys with names. His mother, Lorraine, called my office 3 times. My assistant told her I was in meetings. Brandon texted something about how love is about patience, sandwiched between gym selfies. A cousin sent a paragraph beginning with, as a woman, you should know better, which told me everything about their family grammar. At 2 p.m., security called from the lobby cafe. A gentleman named Evan is here. Should we send him up? Let's keep it downstairs, I said. I'll meet him for 15. He looked rumpled and raw, hair uncombed, wearing the sweatshirt he prized for being effortless. He didn't order anything. "What is this?" he asked, no hello. "My card got declined at Starbucks. My phone won't load, and I can't Uber. Brandon had to drive me. This is crazy." "It's not crazy," I said. "It's ordinary cause and effect. Your phone is throttled because you chose the cheaper plan and used 45 gigs, streaming fights, and fantasy leagues. Your access to my credit ended because you asked to evaluate my worth." He blinked. Marissa, I didn't mean it like that. Brandon said you were taking me for granted, that I needed to shake things up, make you work for me a little. It was like a tactic," I supplied. "A game. A test," he said, softening the word like butter. "If you loved me, you'd fight." "I did," I said, and watched the sentence land. "For 4 years, I carried the quiet parts, credit cleanups, late fees you forgot, the dentist bill you said you'd Venmo later. Love isn't a tug of war where one of us pays admission." His jaw flexed. "This is punitive." "It's accurate," I said. "Also, I'm curious about something." I reached into my tote, slid across a printed page. His eyes flicked down. The Safari history from my iPad. Bumble. Hinge. The timestamps marched like boot prints. Color left his face. "You went through my phone?" "I went through my tablet," I said. "You connected your accounts to stream a game, remember? Syncs. It's been about 2 months." He swallowed. Look, I was just looking. You were interviewing replacements," I said. "Shopping while wearing the life I built." I stood. "Evan, you asked for 30 days to think. Think without my wallet propping you up. A courier will deliver a written 30-day notice to vacate this afternoon. You'll have until that date to remove your belongings." He looked up at me like a kid who'd misjudged a curb. "Wait, where am I supposed to go?" "You're already with Brandon," I said. "You have a job. You have options." "This is cold, Marissa." I met his eyes and did not look away. "No, this is room temperature. You've been living in a greenhouse." He flinched, then reached for an old script. "I loved you, you know." "If you had," I said, "you wouldn't need a month to convert me into numbers." He let his hand fall. Outside the window, a bus stitched its way down the block. The cafe's milk foamer screamed and stopped. I checked my watch. "I need to get back upstairs. Security can validate your parking if Brandon is still here." He nodded at the paper he hadn't returned. "What if I don't leave?" "Then I follow the process," I said. "And I always follow the process." He stared at the dating app timestamps one more second, as if the ink might confess it had lied, and then he folded the paper once, twice, a third time. "You're making a mistake." "I'm correcting one," I said. When I stepped back into the elevator, the mirrored walls showed me a woman with steady hands and a heartbeat I could hear but didn't have to obey. In my head, the blue chalk dust floated, then settled, into a straight line where the rest of my life would stand. That evening, I ate leftovers at my counter and stacked 3 manila folders on the placemat where his keys used to land. The first held the notice. The second, a list of items he'd purchased himself, which wasn't long, but it mattered to be fair. The third, my notes from the afternoon. Dates, times, what was said. Past 9, my phone lit up again, this time with a number I knew too well. Lorraine. I let it ring out. I didn't pick up for Brandon either. I did answer one call from my older sister Naomi, who said only, "You okay?" "I'm better than okay," I said, surprised to find it true. "I'm precise." "Good," she said. "Be precise out loud." I slid the notice into an envelope, sealed it, and wrote his name across the front in blue ink that looked like chalk dust gone permanent. Somewhere across town, I imagined him and Brandon writing their own version of this story, auditioning sympathy with people who love applause. Tomorrow would bring a U-Haul of opinions, an audience of bystanders, and a performance he thought he could direct. I cleaned the glass until the rim sang again. One clear note, nothing broken. Part 2. By Thursday morning, the temperature had shifted, not outside, but in the current running beneath everything. Messages came like aftershocks. Brandon's voice notes, full of faux concern. "He's just confused, Marissa. You're overreacting." Lorraine's long texts about forgiveness. I ignored them all. At 8:43 a.m., my phone buzzed with a call from my neighbor, Josie. Marissa, there's a truck out front, a U-Haul." I stepped to the window, coffee in hand. Down on the curb, the scene unfolded like a low-budget drama. Evan in jeans and bravado, Brandon directing 2 guys with dolly carts, and Damon, his brother, pacing with a clipboard like the foreman of bad decisions. They were unloading boxes. into my driveway. I pressed the intercom button. Evan, what are you doing? He looked up, hand shielding his eyes from the sun. Moving back in, he shouted. We're good, right? You can't just kick me out over a fight. The quiet that followed his words was surgical. Then I answered evenly. You're a month-to-month tenant who received 30 days' notice yesterday. You moved out voluntarily. You can't move back in during the notice period. Brandon set his clipboard down and walked closer, grinning like this was a social call. Come on, Marissa. Be human about it. Let him bring his stuff inside before it rains. There's no rain forecast, I said. Metaphorically, he smirked. I opened the gate and stepped out far enough that everyone could hear me. You've all got 5 minutes to move that truck before I call security. Damon shoved his hands into his pockets. You'd really throw your boyfriend's things out in the street? I tilted my head. He threw himself out when he decided to evaluate me like a product review. Just then, a voice called from the curb. Evan? We all turned. A woman climbed out of a silver sedan, slim, honey-haired, mid-20s. She was holding her phone like she'd been following GPS directions straight into a trap. Evan froze. Kylie, what are you doing here? She blinked at the scene, the boxes, the audience, me, and asked softly, You said she was abusive, that she drained your accounts and kicked you out without warning. The air went thin. Brandon muttered something about timing and took a long step backward. I folded my arms. Interesting choice of adjectives. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. If by abusive you meant removing you from credit cards you never paid, then yes, I'm guilty of fiscal accountability. Kylie's expression changed, curiosity fighting disbelief. So she's not what he said, I finished for her. Evan, maybe tell her about the Bumble account you've been curating from my iPad? He turned crimson. You went through my... Syncing goes both ways, I said. Hard to hide an active profile when your devices share cloud storage. The two movers suddenly found deep fascination in their dolly straps. Kylie looked at Evan, then at the half-unloaded boxes. You said she took all your money. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Right, she said after a moment, then walked back to her car. Good luck with whatever this is. The sedan door shut, a clean punctuation mark on his story. Evan turned back to me, voice cracking. You ruined that for me. I met his eyes. You ruined that for yourself. Brandon, perhaps realizing the performance had ended, started directing the others to reload the truck. Damon cursed under his breath. Evan, I said quietly as he stood there, shoulders collapsing under the weight of consequences. You have 29 days left to vacate. Use them wisely. When they finally left, Josie leaned over the porch rail of her house next door. Want me to send you the security footage? She asked. Keep it, I said. Might need it later. That afternoon, a different kind of message started arriving. Digital instead of physical. Venmo requests. $200 for moving truck plus emotional distress. $60. For gas. $18.50. For food. Please haven't eaten since yesterday. Each one declined. Brandon texted a string of half-threats about public opinion. Lorraine sent a voice note thick with tears, accusing me of turning Evan's family against him. I didn't reply. Instead, I poured wine into the same glass that had become my metronome for calm. The rim sang under the towel as I dried it. The note lasted 3 seconds, maybe 4. Long enough to remind me that silence can be music if you know how to hold it. By Friday morning, the gossip loop was in full spin. My assistant forwarded an email from HR. Apparently Lorraine had called my workplace again, asking to speak to Marissa's supervisor. HR blocked her number. Meanwhile, Derek, one of my gym friends who tended bar downtown, sent a text. Derek, hey, wasn't your ex named Evan? Me. Yes, why? Derek, he's here, with Brandon. They're trying to get free drinks off your tab. Long story. Also, he's complaining that you stole his car. I typed back, the car loan's in my name, so no. Then I added, almost as an afterthought, let him talk. Because that's the thing about people who build stories. They forget that timelines leave fingerprints. Saturday dawned clean and bright, the kind of morning that feels like a verdict. I made coffee, wrote out a detailed inventory of the remaining shared items, and filed everything, receipts, screenshots, call logs, into a folder labeled Closure Pending. Outside, the world kept moving. Kids on scooters, someone in sprinkler ticking across grass, a dog barking at nothing. Inside, I could feel the space expanding, like walls exhaling after years of holding their breath. At noon, Naomi called. You made the local gossip page, she said. I laughed. That didn't take long. Don't worry, she added. I commented. What did you say? That screenshots are forever. A small, wicked smile crept up before I could stop it. Love you, I told her. Love you too. Don't let them rewrite your story. I won't, I said, and I meant it, because I had the receipts, and I had peace. Part 3. Sunday evening fell slow and gold through the blinds when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, there he was, Evan, alone this time. No truck, no entourage, just a paper bag in one hand and a face rehearsed for sympathy. Can I come in? He asked. Against every practical instinct, I stepped aside. He set the bag on this counter. It's takeout, he said, from that Thai place you like. I already ate, I replied, but he didn't look surprised. He'd come for a conversation, not a meal. He perched on the edge of the couch like someone posing for forgiveness. Marissa, I've been doing a lot of thinking, he began. I realize I messed up. Brandon was wrong. Lorraine was wrong. Everyone was wrong. I want to fix it. The same words I'd once ached to hear now landed like dull coins. I folded my arms. Why now? He blinked. What do you mean? What changed between Tuesday morning, when you needed a month to decide if I'm worth it, and today? He looked down. I realized what I lost. Be specific. The apartment, the stability, the life we built. You took care of everything, Mar. I didn't realize how much until it was gone. His voice faltered. I can't afford to live on my own. Brandon's couch isn't exactly ideal. And Kylie... He stopped himself, then sighed. She's not what I thought. Meaning she expects you to pay your own bills? I asked. He flinched. That's not fair. It's fair, I said quietly. It's also true. For a moment he looked so young it hurt, but pity is not the same as love. I want to fix this, he said again, grasping for the script. I'll go to counseling. I'll get a second job. I'll tell my family to back off. Whatever you need. Why? I asked. Because I love you. No, I said. You love the stability, the lifestyle, the version of yourself that existed when someone else handled the consequences. He stared at me, waiting for me to crack, to soften into the woman who always patched holes. But I'd learned something about holes. When you fill them with yourself, you disappear. Evan, I said finally, you didn't lose me this week. You lost me months ago when you started swiping for replacements. This week, you just lost the funding. He rose, anger replacing sorrow. That's cold. It's clear. He stood there another moment, caught between pride and pleading, then picked up the uneaten food and left without closing the door fully behind him. The latch clicked when I did it for him. By Monday morning, the smear campaign had begun. My phone buzzed nonstop. Screenshots of his posts, friends tagging me in threads I hadn't asked to join. Evan had gone public. My ex manipulated me financially and kicked me out. She ruined my credit and left me with nothing. Brandon reposted with dramatic hashtags, #narcissistic ex, #financial abuse, #men have feelings too. Even Lorraine joined in, commenting on one thread. My poor son was used and discarded. She trapped him with false promises and took everything. I didn't respond, but Naomi did. By noon, her name was everywhere. She'd uploaded screenshots of dating app logs, Evan's active Bumble and Hinge accounts, synced through iCloud, bank statements showing my payments on his overdue credit cards, a text thread where he bragged to Brandon about testing me. Then came the kicker, an old Facebook post from Evan himself from last year captioned, "When your girlfriend's your walking ATM." The comments under it turned fast. Some defended him, most didn't. By the end of the day, his posts vanished. So did Brandon's. Lorraine's account went private. I didn't celebrate. I just closed my laptop, exhaled, and poured a glass of water. The quiet that followed wasn't triumph. It was balance returning after a long tilt. Tuesday morning brought a final ripple. Josie called from next door. "Hey, that guy left a box on your porch." It was a small cardboard cube sealed with too much tape. Inside, his leftover keys, a hoodie that wasn't worth reclaiming, and a folded note. "I'm sorry. You deserve better from me." It wasn't signed, but the handwriting was his. I folded the note once, then twice, and set it in the folder labeled Closure Pending. Not forgiveness, not revenge, just record keeping. By Thursday, the gossip had moved on. Lorraine posted recipes again. Brandon uploaded gym selfies captioned "Back to Focus." Evan went quiet. And I started breathing like the apartment finally belonged to me again. A week later, the apartment sounded different. No echo of someone humming tunelessly in the shower. No thud of his shoes by the door. just a soft hum of the refrigerator and the rhythmic scratch of my pen against paper. The air felt mine again. I'd started a new ritual, one slow walk, every morning before work. The route wound past the coffee shop where we used to split pastries, down the block with the cracked mural he always complained was too sentimental, and back up the street where the jacarandas were dropping purple confetti on the sidewalk. Each morning, I left a little less of him behind. There were still logistical remnants, 22 days left on the 30-day notice, a few of his boxes stacked neatly in the spare room, hoodies, a blender, that framed movie poster he insisted was vintage. Naomi offered to help haul them to storage. Or Goodwill, she said pointedly. Goodwill if they're still here when the clock runs out, I replied. It wasn't cruelty, it was boundaries, something I'd only recently learned the real shape of. Friday evening, Derek from the gym texted, Derek, hey, we're getting drinks after class. You in? Me, maybe. Derek, my friend Luke's coming too. Funny guy, decent taste in beer, apparently likes women who can deadlift him. I laughed. It had been months since laughter felt natural. I met them at a small place near the river, the kind that smells like cedar and old stories. Derek introduced us, and Luke extended a hand with a polite smile. No theatrics, no practiced charm. Conversation flowed easily. Books, travel, the best kind of street food. When the check came, he slid his card forward. I reached for mine at the same time. He grinned. Want to split it? Absolutely. You sure? I insist, I said, smiling back. He paused, then nodded. I like that. It wasn't romance, not yet. It was something quieter, sturdier, a reminder that partnership begins in parity, not performance. The next morning, I took down the folder labeled Closure Pending. I removed the final page, the notice to vacate, and filed it under completed. Then I opened my journal and wrote 4 simple truths, not for him, but for me. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Love without respect is just dependence wearing perfume. You can't build a partnership with someone who sees you as a resource. The right person will never need a month to decide your worth. I read them twice, then closed the book. Outside, the jacaranda petals had turned the sidewalk into a lavender carpet. I stood there for a moment, breathing in the faint sweetness of something ending and something else beginning. As I locked the door and stepped into the sunlight, I realized that quiet isn't the absence of love. It's what remains when the noise is gone.